And I'd like you to put your attention inward, inside the physical body, and just notice your physical body. Some areas are relaxed and maybe pleasant, comfortable. And maybe there are some areas which are less comfortable, less pleasant, less relaxed, more contracted. So I'd like you to notice these areas, both areas, the comfortable and the less comfortable ones. But try to do nothing, just notice them. Allow the body to be as it is right now. And then I'd like you to bring your attention, your awareness, your consciousness to your hands. And maybe you can feel the space around your hands. And then I'd like you to endeavor to investigate if there is a difference between the space inside the chest area and the space outside the chest area. And then I'd like you to sink slowly down from the chest area into the pelvic. And try to be aware, to perceive the space around the pelvic. And then you can concentrate maybe for a while on the space inside the pelvic, inside the body. And again outside the pelvic, around the body. And again, is there a difference between the space inside the body and the space outside the body? And then I'd like you to move slowly down through your legs, around your legs, with your awareness, your consciousness, your perception, to your feet. And try to connect with the space around your feet. And then you can move your attention to the space inside your feet. And again, is there a difference between the space inside the feet and the space outside the feet? And then I'd like you to connect with the space inside the whole body. And the space around the body. Maybe you can connect with the space around the whole body. Is there a difference between the space inside the body and the space outside the body? And I'd like you to come back slowly to the here and now.
So, welcome again, everybody. The theme of this gathering is being freedom, which is like freedom in being. We hear a lot about being in the world of spirituality and inner growth. And the advertisements of Marlboro cigarettes, just be. Being is that sense we have when there's a break in the habitual thinking mind. The thoughts stop for a moment and feeling comes forward. And it's not feeling of any particular emotion or object. It's a subtle sense of the feeling of what it is to be here for us. A sense of being has in it something of the unique fingerprint of your individual essence, mixed with something far greater than any individual. It feels in this subtle fingerprint of feeling, this subtle sense of individual being. It feels enormously alive and intensely intimate. There is a sense of sweet, sweet, sweet intimacy in feeling how it is just to be you, here, now. The sweetness of it sometimes can throw us straight back into mind again, into thinking. It can be awakening to the nervous system, this intimacy, this intimate sense of you-ness. The you that's here before you learn to speak. The you that's here when you close your eyes at night and withdraw inside and start moving towards down into sleep. The you that's here when you emerge from sleep in the mornings, before there's a time or a space or a day of the week or a name or a marital status or tasks to be done, that space before we put on all of those garments and tasks, when we begin to emerge out of sleep, that first sense of being here somewhere, sometimes it takes a while to realize which room we're in, which bed, which country. That space. So this is the being. Within this being, as we said, there is this intimate uniqueness. There is no other sense of being like the sense of being which you have now. It's the you-ness of experience, how it feels to be you, how it's always been feeling to be you. At the same time that the window is intimately individual, the being that it's reflecting is vast. It's not separate from a being far greater than an individual. Who is this one that feels the unique fingerprint of being, which is you, with such an intimacy? Who is this one? What is this one? Is it alone? Is it something that can be lost? Who is feeling through you this sense of being you? Now we are connected, from what I can see, it's at least 3 different continents, 5 different countries at least, here, now, in this moment, sharing an awareness which is going beyond what we would normally feel were the borders of space. There is no distance. Also, this has an intimacy. At the same time, that there is really no problem. It's the most natural thing in the world. So where do we lose our freedom in being? How does it become hard for us to sink into this space of being and come to peace, to be peace, to be in freedom? What happens there that we come out of being? Something so delicious, so unbounded in its love and its peace and its shared resource, but still we lose it. Or we lose our connection with it. Crazily enough, often what the movement is when we move into being is that the mind tends to say, but what about me? But what about me? We have being, infinite being, on a plate before us to sink into, an ocean of love to dive into, being of you-ness, of us-ness, and yet the mind looks around and says, but what about me? Me first. But I, me. So in this meditation, we moved, Bart led us to this space, the sense of space inside the body, outside the body, the space around the skin, the spaciousness. Our awareness, this sense of being, easily moves in space. Where else could we find this sense of being but in the space which allows all objects, all form, to be there in the first place? The space out of which it came to life. This infinite, unbounded spaciousness. We are programmed to view this space as nothing. There's nothing in the empty space. What matters is my face, not the space around it. What matters is my physical body, not the space which gives it life. Inside, outside, that lets it grow, lets it move, lets it regenerate, lets it heal. We're programmed to almost see this space as an enemy. And this comes from a subtle layer of attitude of rejection. Rejection of the human purpose, in a way. If we contact this space with our awareness, what is our attitude towards the spaciousness? Imagine it was loving and welcoming this space. Imagine that the space all around us was a kind of heavenly home, inviting us without any restrictions. You can even imagine that the contact we have with the physical chair or the physical body, or with the bed, that this physical matter isn't an enemy. It's loving us. It's welcoming us. The floor, the chair, there's an invitation to relax more deeply into it. And the mind can start with, yes, but my problems. Yes, but. But the mind can also inquire and check into the silence, which is the space of the mind. This intimate silence, which is intimate because it's not confined by thought. This silence, too, is extremely friendly. Ready to receive us. Not only between the thoughts, but beneath our thoughts.
Let's take some time and just see if we can sink a little bit more deeply into this silence. And if we can share this silence together. This soft and gentle silence. A silence which is within ourselves, around ourselves. A silence which is embedded in this world, and the universe around this world.
If anyone would like to share something or ask some questions, they can type into the chat box, which is at the bottom of the screen.
But you stop identifying with what you smell.
So it wouldn't be good as bad smell.
It depends maybe on the state of your upper lip. No, that's a very...
You know, smell is one of the only senses which moves, one of the few senses which bypasses the control center at the front of the brain.
Yeah, that's nice, eh?
It goes straight into the...
yeah, so it's free.
Yeah, so the silence of smell is a kind of emptiness. It's very refined. Smell is already more than one sense. It's 1,000 and more different senses.
More than what?
The sense of smell isn't one sense. It's thousands of senses. It's subtle. It bypasses the control function, so it's often psychic. And the absence of smell is very, very close to emptiness.
Thanks, nice.
Yeah. We maybe can all recognize the subtle smells that are there at the entrance into life, at birth and at death. There is a range of subtle psychic smells which are very, very sweet. The default, the refinement, always tends to move towards the healthy stuff, the sweetness, a sense of subtle goodness. But of course, imbalance also has a smell. Trauma has a smell. It's very worthwhile to spend a day sniffing, just concentrating on that dimension. In dogs, it's extremely developed. They can smell cancer. Scientists are working now on nanosensors to do what a dog can do naturally, to detect and diagnose cancer according to breath samples.
I guess we have some kind of subtle smell facility.
Yes.
On the top of the nose, like a dog.
We do. And it's to do with using it. The more we use it, the more it develops, the more the neural networks of the brain develops the cells and the sensors to process the information. If we don't use these areas, then at first it seems like there's nothing there. To do with opening the sense, agreeing to use it, trusting it.
Not being judgmental about what you smell. Just give the sense its own life and perceive it.
Okay, we have another question from...
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. We have another question from Annika. How to deal with contractions, residues of old pain, in the recognition of what I am as space, as silence and love.
So, these contractions are connected with experiences which in the moment we were not able to contain for whatever reason. Some of these contractions you could call traumas. And what you see, this is a moment of life which basically is frozen in time. And often we are able to move around this contraction. But sometimes we are caught in such a contraction. And then there is repeating patterns which kind of, are repeating again and again and again. And we have a tendency, when we kind of are moving in such a contraction, to move into a tunnel vision and lose our freedom. So often we really identify with these contractions as this is me. And at the same time we don't want to be it. So it's kind of an inner fight. And the first step to healing is to not focus too much on this contraction, but to focus on the space which is around it, on the areas where you find freedom, on the areas where there is less conflict, where there's more relaxation. And when you're more settled in these areas, it becomes more easy to contain the contractions. So the contractions can start to open up and to contain whatever is hidden in the contraction as experience, and to integrate this in your daily life. To push and to pull, to try to solve, to try to get rid of those contractions is not really helpful. And if we can allow them without trying to get rid of them, to heal them. So often what you see, that life itself in its natural movement, when we are more able to surrender to being, will open those contractions in exactly the right time.
Beautiful.
It's not that we need to get rid of all those contractions to move into freedom or into being. We can, irrespective of the contractions, if we find the space in ourselves, which sometimes is difficult, start to move into being. So the movement into being helps to solve the contractions. The other way around, it's very difficult, very hard work to solve contractions when we are not into being, but when we are more into our mind, more into the dual mind, judging the contractions, fighting with them, wanting to get rid of them, and trying to control them. So that's a little bit an answer, I hope.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, because that's how I feel it as well. Like focusing more and more on space, which gives me the trust and the confidence that everything is well, that so to say God is good.
Yes.
And the more I dare to look at from that light, dare to look at it, be with it, I'm starting to be more loving with it, which helps me to be more in that space again. So it's an exchange, but something doesn't want to go there, not either to the body and not to the space. So it's a little bit of a fight, a little bit of because something does not want to go to space because then it loses its grip, and something doesn't want to go to the body because there it has been hurting so much.
Yes.
So that's an interesting
Yeah.
sometimes battle, I'm honest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what could help is, because this something is a kind of resistance you feel in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And try to find the empty space in the resistance. Allow the resistance. The resistance is full of space by itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be helpful.
Yeah, the exercise you just presented at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's my experience. It was very moving to discover that this body that has hurt so much and nearly died and so forth and so forth, that is a field, that is not separate from what I wanted to withdraw into. You know, I didn't want to be human nor the body, so I thought of space as a place to not bother, not have to do with humanity.
Yeah.
And then I slowly am discovering that the body is the same space.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's horrible. You're trapped if you want to turn out. Yeah.
So it's a beautiful opportunity that it's possible to share that with you, because sometimes it feels like I'm in a huge open water.
Yeah.
And the body is the only thing I can hold on to, like from within, and that's the contraction.
Yeah.
But the body was the most unsafe for me in my life.
Yeah.
So something just hates it, but I know love is in it.
Yes.
But no hurry and no worry.
No hurry, no worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I bow to you. You can't see because I've got an old computer, but I bow to you.
So we have another question from Yeti. Hello, Yeti. When I really go into silence, there is no silence, no hearing, no seeing with the eyes, no smelling, but just an experience of very quickly moving, raining, showering of glitters of light. Is this just a product of our senses?
Me again. So this raining of light is a movement downwards, if I understand it right. And that is coming through senses. And what you can do is just allow it. Again, you know, whenever we experience something, we are not the experience. We are more the one who is experiencing it. So this raining of light is not what you are. You're the one who's experiencing. But then the one who's experiencing it can recollect. And what you could try is if you can let yourself go with the light and see what happens. But that's the best answer I can give right now.
Thanks.
Yeah. With pleasure.
You know, in the video of Russell at the beginning, he indicates a sense beyond the 5 regular senses, a sense which is common to all, which he calls in the beautiful simplicity of his language, the feeling sense. And each sense, whether it's listening or smelling, each dimension, or touch, which includes hot and cold, and the weight of gravity, which is also partly hearing, vision. Each sense, when we truly allow it, what happens is we actually let go of content. We unfocus the eyes. We unfocus the hearing. We stop grasping at stuff that is sensed in order to allow the sense. In doing this, we begin to open the meta sense, that which feels beyond the physical. And as he said, its dimensions also here, also beyond the physical. There is a kind of seeing, there is a kind of listening, there is a kind of touch, there is a kind of smell. There is no such thing as, is this just the physical senses? The physical senses are it. They are the doorways. And while we might not take physical organs with us to the other side, the dimensions of sensing we do. The art is to not grasp, to not identify, to be that which senses, to stay there as that which senses, regardless of what the content is. So often, when we, for example, open the listener and we listen to silence, what's awakened is the visual. So we see the vibrations rather than hearing them. Or we can find, and I'm sure some will recognize this from meditation, we can find when we're meditating and working with the senses, that the sense becomes very, very alive. There's a new vitality in our physical feeling contact with objects around us. Our physical selves become present to matter. Each sense awakened awakens the other senses as well. But behind all that is this one which is able to sense. And that one is the space from which being is set free. Meaning we don't have to hold on to being anymore. There's no judgment. Being is free to be. It doesn't exclude anything. Being isn't an identity. Astrid, I think this will be the last question from Astrid. Hi, Astrid. What I noticed was the different vibrations between space and silence. What is this? Brilliant questions, by the way. The different vibrations between silence. Unmute Astrid. Yes, answer.
I answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this is the technical thing.
Okay. So, in the background of everything is silence. And in the background of everything is space. When you connect with the space, at least for me, and that could be different for you, space in itself seems to me to be more refined energy for higher vibration. Although, and that's the strange thing, so when we move deeply into space, its vibration is almost not noticeable. It's like vacuum. That's how we find it is. And the space, when it expands, is almost limitless, universal. As silence, which is part of the universe as well, and is also universal, is much more connected to the mind and the movement beyond thoughts. When there is no thought, silence is coming forward. So there is this kind of deepening from silence when we move beyond thought and we are in silence for some time, and then the silence can deepen into the experience of silence. And the experience of silence is a little bit more deep as silence and is more refined in itself as well. And this is what we call stillness. Stillness is also beyond experience, beyond feeling. Non-experience. And then if we deepen the stillness and we let ourselves fall deeper and deeper into the stillness, then at a certain moment we come into emptiness or spaciousness, which again is more refined and at the same time is more integrated into the physical body. So it seems the more we are able to incarnate into the physical, the more we are able to really deeply connect with our physical body, beyond struggle, beyond fight, beyond agenda. The more refined the energy is we're meeting. So I think this is what you notice, Astrid, as the difference between space or emptiness, empty space, and silence. There is a difference in vibration. Is this recognizable what I bring forward?
She doesn't know that she's unmuted.
Okay.
Oh, she's lost it.
That's possible. Looks like it.
Yes, silence has many vibrations within it. When we move from the thinking mind into silence and listen to the silence, it has still a quality, it has a vibration. We all know the difference feeling of a loving silence from an angry silence. Just coming up from our own awareness, just the quality of the silence is already that which is birthing the nature of the thoughts. An angry silence tends to be birthing reactive thoughts, like, I'm not angry, or it's the other one's fault. A loving silence tends to birth less thoughts, but loving ones. But these are all qualities, and there is a kind of silence which is even more empty, where it begins to move to the stillness, which is always there, irrespective of the nature of the vibration. So silence is vibrating. It vibrates within a container, within a space. That space is still. That's how the vibration can happen. You need an extra space, a still space. For anything to move, there needs to be a still space behind it. So the first moment that we listen to silence, it's just the tip of the iceberg of listening. And it's so much more interesting than anything we could think. As a journey.